Well, hey Mim.
Hello.
Hey guys, welcome back to Style Over Substance. We missed you last week. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I told them it was your fault anyway.
I
So
was busy. I was busy on some maid of honor duties, and we just couldn't get it in. But
yeah,
yeah, we're back this week. We're ready to go. I'm currently finding shelter under a towel, so I hope you appreciate that.
I don't.
How
I,
are you, Mim?
I think you might need to drape that towel over the mic as well to keep
Goodbye,
the
Mim.
sound.
Let me try and do. Let me try and do it. Oh my god, that's even funny.
Okay, good. I don't know if this is going to help, but by all means possible. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm trying to make some eating choices, some better eating choices this week because I can feel this chin underneath my jaw. Every time you put your like face down a little bit,
Yeah.
and you feel like smushed with your neck. I can't go on like this. So I'm trying my best to just like stay off the salt because supposedly that increases bloating and whatnot. And trying to eat better for this summer, 2021.
Your hot girl summer.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah,
not really.
I feel you. I feel like I was sort of fat shamed by some photos, early photos from this wedding, where I'm on a similar journey where they were very unflattering. I've been reassured by some friends of mine that it is angles and it is
It probably is. Like the camera adds 10 pounds, as they say.
yeah, and actually also like it just I wasn't holding my posture well, all this sort of type of a thing. But also like the camera can't lie that much, surely. So yeah, I'm gonna try and not that you have to be a certain size for summer, but when you just I want to feel good in myself.
I was feeling a bit bloated, and that's not the summer look I'm going for.
No. And it's fine. Like I'm currently at my parents' today, gonna sunbathe in their garden. I don't mind being bloated around them, but other people, no chance.
I hear you.
But yeah. So what is your fashion story this week?
So my fashion story is that Kim Kardashian Skims is being the official US Olympics outfitter. So a lot of her, we've seen some pictures surface of her, I don't know, cozy skims, her active skims, floating about on the internet. And it has the Olympic logo on it, the US flag on it. They're really basic things, if I'm honest, really basic styles. But I'm hoping
they look like just like regular, like tighty whitey, like American Y-front style.
Yeah. I was hoping that, when you have these, I think you can take the towel over your head. I don't think it's making a difference, Scarlett.
Okay.
She's free.
I'm free.
When you see really basic design, I often think, oh, well, maybe there's like technical fabrics going on here. Nike, they'll always do like breathable stuff, anti-sweat, this and the other. I know that Kim is not bringing that for us.
It looks like plain
it looks
cotton.
like cotton or like a
cotton blend.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's a really big move for her. I mean, also Telfar, I think it's Clemens Telfar, I think is his first name. He is the official outfitter for the Liberia team. So, because he's from West Africa, and so they've obviously picked someone from their ends to design the kit. Now, I have seen pictures of that, and that looks cool. That actually looks like a nice suit to come down in the opening ceremony with. I don't know if Kim's Skims is going to be the opening outfit, because they normally wear something a bit smarter, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's just undergarments.
Yeah, or like off duty. When they take off their kit before they like jump in the pool or something. Maybe she's doing that. But yeah, it's big opportunities. Have you seen them?
Yeah, I've seen the pictures. Yeah, but they look a bit like a Calvin Klein to me.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a massive deal for her. Really young brand. I want to know what Chris did. What sorcery was Chris doing?
The Instagram post implies that she was contacted, doesn't it? And I don't know, like you said, what Chris was doing before that.
I don't think Chris leaves anything up to chance.
Doesn't leave a stone unturned.
No.
Yeah. And yeah, young brand. And also, it's a very strategic thing. You know, we've had a lot of press about the divorce. And this is, you know, big news to trump that, really.
Yeah, that's true. This is slightly off topic. It's not fashion, but you know how YouTube likes to push like Kylie Jenner content on you.
Oh, I'm there for it. I subscribe to it.
Well, she is doing a rebranding of her makeup line, Kylie Cosmetics.
That's my fashion story.
Oh, is it? Okay, you start because I'm gonna add my thoughts. Go on.
Well, I had two, and I thought if you went the Kim route, I'll go the Kylie route. So, as you said, Kylie is rebranding and relaunching Kylie Cosmetics to be fully clean, vegan, gluten-free, paraben-free, and basically, whether it's her, whoever it is, has recognised that as the future of the beauty industry.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've completely reformulated all of her products and are relaunching. They haven't got the full range out yet. They've got most of the lip kits. They've got like the lip liners, lip glosses, and blush, eyeliners. And I think they'll be slowly but surely re-releasing. But like also, lol, only a Kardashian, I know she's a Jenner, but like only a Kardashian can monopolize on the same product twice, you know? Like
yeah.
I've reformulated the like
so there's
okay. I think it's huge. I think it's showing the way our world is going. You know, we talked about our vegan leather episode. There needs to be these options now. Apparently clean beauty is a really not helpful term.
Yeah.
Because Caroline Hirons, the hero of the world for the beauty community, hates that term because you know what? Chemicals aren't necessarily bad for your skin if they're the right chemicals. Like you can't have like, you know, you have to educate yourself before you sort of talk about clean and all of that. But I think it's more clean in the sense that it's not, they're ensuring it's not causing any harm. They haven't spoken about, you know, whether or not like the working conditions. And this is a thing I think I spoke about before with the H&M thing. For me, that kind of goes hand in hand with like cruelty free these days. Like, I don't care just about the animals you're testing on. I care about the people who are making this as well. Yeah. I think most of it is made in LA. But
yeah, so
yeah.
With Kylie, this is the thing. They are masters at spin doctoring. Masters, because I saw these videos come out. She's got this little 3-part series on her YouTube channel. It's like, we're just, you know, I'm just such ahead of the curve. And it's like Kylie did not create, you know,
vegan beauty,
you know, paraben free, all of this. She didn't like have an epiphany where she saw this coming. There's so many brands out there already doing it. Secondly, the reason why this is happening is because, you know, she sold like half her company to Coty. The company that originally made all her products and stuff, the company that she went into business with, essentially, they didn't want to give Coty access to their formulas because they use it for the other brands that they also manage, support and manufacture for. So they didn't want to, they thought, you know, this is our trade secret. We don't want to give Coty our recipe, essentially. So I think either they were taking Coty to like court or Coty was taking them to court, being like, no, bitch, we own half this company. We have to have access to everything. Rightly so. I understand that. So this is why this reformulation is coming in. And also they own part of Kim's brand. So hence why she's having a bit of a revamp as well.
Yeah, hers will be announced, I'm sure, in coming months or weeks.
Yeah.
Too. And then I'm guessing she'll do the same with Kylie Skin if it's not already been done. And also, I think she was using this docuseries to try and like rumor do the Kylie baby.
Yeah.
You know, it's all of that. And also, it's a difficult one because I do think she has tapped into a market. People like her lip kits, and actually you do want a matching lip liner to your lip product. Like if that's your vibe and stuff, to make your lips look bigger. And I've got some of her stuff. It's decent. It's not like, you know, it's bad stuff. But like when they're sort of like, you know, she didn't want to use conventional marketing and stuff like that. Yeah, it really bloody helps when you've got 100 million followers. I think that really helps your brand be successful. Yeah, you know,
and like also, they were trying to spin it like she recognized that she could just use her Instagram because no one had thought of that. Namely, Kim Kardashian had never done that, had she? She had.
Well, I think it was more that Chris, like, they alluded to, like, when Kim did the fragrance, she did do, like, an actual, like, TV commercial. But also, like, that was, like, 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know. It's insane that there was very much a spin that, like, this 22-year-old, or however old she is,
yeah, I think
like, completely single-handedly revamped.
Changed the beauty game.
And I thought, wow. Lots of people are going to fall for this self-made billionaire thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one, isn't it? That's a tough one because I guess it somewhat is, but it's also obviously not because of the situation.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anywho, this week we are talking about...
Hold on, you've forgotten. The most important segment.
Sorry, we have an interruption here because the best jingle in the world is about to be played.
I apologize in advance for this terrible jingle. It's our island fashion alert. Yes.
So,
Love Island.
You go, yeah. Yeah, so I've been watching Love Island, and I will say, I think I said it before, no outfits are really standing out for me. I'll be honest. I think the clothing, I mean, there's not much of it, is there? Most of the girls have fake boobs and want you to know about it. What I will say is that Kaz is rocking so many colours and looking phenomenal in all of them. Like, she knows that works for her skin tone, but she's also just got a confidence that I think carries it too. Like, she sort of, you know, she pairs colours nicely together and stuff like that. Yeah.
I was going to say, yeah. Kaz has kind of developed as the neon-loving, bright pink
colour queen. Yeah,
colour queen. And I'm here for that. I do think, yeah, you're right. We know this already. The outfit choices, the styling, it's pretty basic. I mean, Faye and what's that girl's name? Lucinda, they called themselves basic. And I was like, wow, thank God that you recognize how beige you two are. But I think Millie has also shown herself to be kind of quite well put together and stylish.
I think she is the least basic person in there. I think she's the most normal, quote unquote normal, someone you see down the street in everyday life. She's less into the drama of stuff. Like, she's obviously beautiful, but she's not there with like the long extensions and piling. She puts makeup on, sure, but like she's not piling on like giant fake lashes and all that stuff. She's got some nice style and she's got a great figure to dress. We saw that high neck dress in another colour on Shaz.
Yeah,
in that silver colour. I didn't like it personally. It sort of looked like that reflective material. You know, that's
you put in your car glass. So
yeah, or just or no, or like, you know, high vis, like it just sort of looked like, you know, those yellow high vis jackets get those like panels
Reflective
of that
panels.
reflective panels. It sort of reminded me of that. But yeah, I'm not bowled over by people's fashion choices, I must admit.
What I will say is a fashion mystery to me is that all these girls wear really short skirts and they never ride over their bums. How are they not? They're just staying there.
I'm telling you now, I'm pulling down a skirt before it's even reached like where there's seam to sit. But like even with Shaz with that dress, that was barely covering her. I probably wouldn't have even obviously stepped out in it myself. But how that dress was not just basically pulled up, like, and also even like, you know, the wind might blow and we never seem to see, like, I'm sure obviously they edit that out, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But they just seem to be able to like manage the sort of short thing.
Yeah.
But I guess also they're just laying in their bikinis all day. So if someone sees their knickers, like...
That's true.
You know?
But it's still a mystery to me. But my last Love Island point, I wanted to know what you thought, is on the men's fashion side of things.
Yeah.
So previously you mentioned about Toby's co-ord. This time I am noticing, and I quite like it, to be honest. I know this is very basic, but Liam stepped out in a pair of jeans, Jordans, and a Nike hoodie. And I was like, this guy's looking really comfortable. And his girl is here with a club outfit. And you know what? I would like, if I were in the villa, if ITV wanted me, I would one day like to rock a pair of Jordans and a hoodie in the evening. None of the girls, I don't know if they're not allowed to, or the guys are taking liberties a bit more with the styling because they too are also expected to dress up to an extent. But I was like, wow, look at what's happening.
Yeah, and actually I think it's nice because Hugo was also wearing sort of like a hoodie and jeans, and I don't know if it's like it gives you a bit of an insight into like them as normal people and not in just their holiday clothes. I don't know if that was why it sort of was quite cool.
That's true. I did think to myself, like, wow, I didn't know Liam was a Jordans guy.
Yeah,
kind of just like okay.
But what I also will say, I don't know if I know the new guy's name.
Daniel. Teddy.
No, not Teddy. The guy who thinks he's like
hot felon
break. Yeah. He's not.
It's Daniel. Danny.
The outfit he came in, if that's his best outfit in life, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
It was like some round neck, like blue fitted jumper that almost, if you want it to be tight, it almost needs to be tighter because it was like really tight in his arms, but like not in his body.
He was dressed for the high street, if I'm honest. It was like, I think Burton's must be like sponsoring them or something. And it was nothing wrong with Burton's, but it's a high street thing, you know?
He was not dressed to impress. I would have appreciated a shirt. His jeans were not okay by my standards. And I didn't even like his footwear. I think it was the overall look. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't fancy him at all. So that might be why. But I just thought, is that the best you've got? Like these girls walk in these like skimpy outfits and you've walked in that. That's how I felt.
But then having said that, these skimpy outfits aren't necessarily any better.
No, they're not. Yeah. But it's just, it feels like the level of effort is waning on the lads' side. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Wow. That is another week of Love Island's poor fashion choices.
Let us know if you're seeing something different, though. Let us know if you think somebody's like a star and we're not realizing it.
Yeah.
I do like the sunglasses game. I will say that.
Kaz's sunglasses.
But even Faye, she's been wearing some fun sunglasses. I think there's been a sunglass sponsor. I think they've all been sent in with sunglasses.
Okay.
But I will say, like, yeah, I appreciate they're going for it with the sunglasses.
That actually reminds me, before I forget to mention, is that ITV is actually coming out with this shoppable TV service. Have you heard about that? So that you can like easily shop what's on Love Island, which, okay, we all know about like the Making the Cuts of the world, that other fashion TV competition show, product placement in Emily in Paris, all of that stuff. Like, we already understand like the impact of product placement over like straight traditional advertising in advertising breaks. So we know that's massive. And obviously Love Island is centered around, to be honest, I think at this point, Love Island is more about product placement for like River Island, Shein, I saw it first in that lot, then it is really about the program. But ITV is taking it one step closer, and I think it's going to be in a form of like, when you watch it on demand, there'll be click-throughs and things for you to shop what is happening in real time. I don't know how it's going to work, but it's coming soon.
Yeah, I also imagine it will come with like, it'll be sort of app related. So even I watched a bit of like the Kylie Jenner did a live when she released her products on the website. She did like a Q&A, and as she mentioned a product, ping, you could tap it on the side of the video and it would open the page. Whilst the video is obviously still playing in the corner, you can go on the page of the product she's just talked about. So I imagine it will have some similar.
Yeah. It's kind of in a more like digital sense. It's kind of what like Net-a-Porter and Porter magazine do, in that like you go on their website and it's like you can flick through the pages of the digital magazine and then go to the
interactively shop it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not killing myself to buy them Shein bikinis.
Exactly. Maybe it's a new way of shopping fashion. And speaking of shopping fashion, we're going to talk about the way that shopping fashion originated.
Oh, look at that segue.
Rudy! We're talking about Fashion Week. We realised that we've kind of gone this far and we haven't sort of broken down where the Fashion Week came from, what is Fashion Week, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so I actually didn't know this either before researching for this episode. So as we know, I think we talked about an couture episode. The way that clothes used to get shown was that sort of women would be invited to a private place of a dressmaker or a store, and they would be shown the latest designs of models sort of walking around. And that was how sort of like couture and bespoke dresses used to be shown and offered to women. And so that happened in France, in Paris, sort of from the early 20th century, the early 1900s. And then basically post-war or post First World War. No, I think it was post-second actually. People couldn't get over to France from the States to see the latest in European fashion. And so a store started doing their own sort of like in-store stuff, and I think that happened already, like inspired by New York and stuff, but that's when the first Fashion Week happened, is that they couldn't get inspired by Europe, so America almost developed their own fashion for the first time.
Obviously in Paris, as you said, they had companies and stores and businesses, they would invite guests and kind of put on a little show, and it might be like during the lunchtime slot in the restaurant and whatnot. That's funny. Stores like they used to have like, it was a full experience. There was a restaurant inside the store, and like, you know. And so the first one, you're right, from my understanding, it started in New York off the back of what designers were doing in Paris. That's when it became much more formalized. I know that Christian Dior, when he was alive, he went on tours throughout the States, and he would take, like, if you work in fashion, you'll know about trunk shows. And essentially it's like one piece of everything of that new collection, and it would do its rounds and its tours around the different stores. That's what happened now. But he did a trunk show, and it would travel around the States and show a new customer base, because like after World War II, people were coming into more money, middle classes were like coming up, and so the American market was getting bigger and bigger from what I understand of history, and so that's when it really became a fashion week. Before it was just like private shows.
Yeah, and I think also as soon as Americans get their hands on things, they mega size it, they supersize it. And so like what Fashion Week alludes to is a condensed space, like obviously it's typically a week, but a condensed amount of time where all the shows slot in, whereas before that they would just be scattered all year round, and it became much more to do with the fashion sort of season, and basically how people would buy it. So in the winter, that's when you showcase summer, so that they can buy the summer collection ready for it to hit stores. And that's why the cycle and the condensed thing has happened the way it has, is to allow for that process to happen.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of interesting to see how only up until really, really recently, to be honest, it was like see now and buy later. And you'd watch a show, it'd be like, I really love that dress, but you could only buy it like 5-6 months later, or like months later. By that time, you've probably forgotten what the collection was, what you liked about it. You've probably
spent that money.
Let's be honest. Like, you've seen other things in other stores since then, and you've gone and bought that over waiting for, like, you know, Scarparelli's gown to come out. So now, in recent years, and even this year, we see more and more brands deciding to do a see now, buy now format. Like, I think Jacques Mus did that. I think Tommy Hilfiger, when he had that Zendaya collection, they did that. And it allows for people to just like jump on it while it's hot.
Yeah, I think this is the thing, is that I bet that the generations above us had the patience to see a show, wait 6 months, remember that item and go and get it. Whereas we're a see now, instantaneous, want that thing we ordered the next day. Otherwise it feels like we're waiting a lifetime. You know, some Amazon things, you can buy it and it gets delivered that like by 10 o'clock that night. You know, we're a really instant like generation, and so they're having to, I guess, move to that. But it's also obviously an answer to fast fashion copying them as well.
Definitely.
But also what I think's been interesting, and I know we spoke earlier on in the year about, you know, how's fashion going to respond to, you know, pandemic, and are they going to do stuff differently? But what I have liked seeing in recent years is it's not just contained now to these locations. So the 4 main locations are Paris, Milan, New York, and London. However, I think it wasn't yesterday, maybe it was like the day before, or a few days ago, there was the Valentino show in Venice, literally like at the waterside, like stunning location. And so then what that technically, I guess, involves is you're almost flying people or arranging for people to go just to Venice for your show only, which is super luxe as it is. And you had Cosima singing and performing. Did you see?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And like, I like that they're becoming, you know, it's almost like fashion is always having to think about how to reinvent itself, because you can't just simply put on a show. Like, remember when Marc Jacobs was there for Louis Vuitton and they had that train themed And that was the first time that kind of another fashion house had tried to like match what Chanel and Carl used to do.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. Like, I will always remember that show. Like, it stands out to me. And I think that that's what fashion houses are having to do now, is like, if you want to show up or people remember you, you've got to like, it's got to be a different place, or, you know, you've got to be really unique. And I think I like seeing that. And I wonder if the fall places and the seasons are almost it's all gonna be a bit weird now.
Yeah, it is gonna like dissipate and fizzle out, and having these strict, like we saw at the beginning of last year, brands were devolving away from the strict fashion week and deciding we're gonna the schedule, and we're gonna show whenever we feel like showing, if we feel like showing attitude,
and when we're ready.
Yeah, exactly. and as you said, like the locations are also dissipating. So you mentioned Venice. I know that Venice they have a biennale. It's like a really like it's one of those Italian cities which is known for like design, not fashion, but like other types of design. And I think they have these annual conferences for art and design in Venice. And so I think that that's probably a reason why it's like, we don't have to be in Milan. You know, we've been in Milan. It's not that nice over there.
No, Venice is way nicer. And also they have the film festival there. Like it's a location of like esteem.
Yeah.
And so,
So I think, that's right. Fashion weeks are now becoming where it started from was individual like designers and shops and department stores were doing their own like little events for customers. We're almost going back to that. It's not as structured as it once was. And I think you've touched on it before. Yes, I think that now we do expect things to be more instant. But I think that there's other reasons for why the format is changing. So you mentioned like brands want to do things on their own schedule and on their own time and allow customers to buy directly from them after their shows, because, you know, fast fashion is very quick and they will copy.
They will rip you off.
Yeah, before the actual genuine collection is in their own stores. You know, Boohoo's already going to have their own version. To be honest,
shout out to our sponsor, Boohoo.
You know what I was about to say? I was like, you know what? Boohoo's actually not that fashion forward.
No, they're not.
It's Zara, isn't it? Zara's gonna rip them off. So it means that they can like get ahead of their fast fashion competition. But I think also now, the same reason why we can have this see now, buy now fashion show culture, and also the reason why we don't need fashion weeks as such, is that before you had a fashion week and the only way you were going to buy it is if it was in store. So you had buyers who were buying on half of department stores, buying the collection. You had magazine editors who would decide what images or what looks they were going to print in magazines. And for layman's people, ordinary people, that was the only time you could see what these collections were about, what these shows were about. So you have like these gatekeepers who you had to wait to see what was going to be hot this season, what was coming out this next season and stuff. Now we see fashion shows online, and I'm just a regular person and I don't get invited to this stuff, but I can see a fashion show, and if I like it, I'm like, why do I need to wait 6 months? I'm going to forget about this. Anyone's going to forget about it. Whereas before, we would see these images published in magazines when it was the relevant season. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be like, we would have no like other choice but to wait, is my point. So now it's just like, we don't need these tight schedules because everyone can just see the show straight away. And we're not waiting for buyers to buy whole collections anymore.
Yeah, and brands now have their own online space and they can control that now. So we don't have just to wait for stores. And to be honest, I think the future is almost sort of like seasonless.
Yeah.
Not in the sense of like, not every collection has to have a coat and a bikini, but that like that collections aren't just in a shop for a short amount of time, because let's be honest, I could go on a winter holiday, you know, like, and like it used to be a thing. I remember literally like it'd almost be like September would hit and like you'd find some coats, and then literally by maybe December coats were out and we were already getting the spring stuff into stores, and you couldn't find a decent coat despite the fact we're still in the midst of winter. And I think we're moving from that, and because life is so online, like other than a pandemic, I'm not an in-store shopper. Like I'm really not. Like it's not my idea of a good time. I get that it is some people's, but it's really not my idea of a good time.
I'm not a fan.
And so like online, you can hold all that stock and you don't have to try and merchandise a store for it, have all the stock in the back for like all the seasons, and it just works better. And I feel like trend-driven stuff, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not in the fashion circles, so who knows? But I don't think there's the same amount of judgment now for wearing like last season's stuff. Whereas I think about 10, 20 years ago, that was a faux pas, a fashion faux pas to wear last season's stuff.
Especially if you were like a housewife, you know, like, you know, like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. That sort of level of wealth, and like where class and wealth really are like so intermingled. I think you can't be seen to be a housewife of New York and be wearing some like old last season.
You need the latest Dior bag, but I think that's moving away from that as well. So I think then the seasons become more, I think they just become different. Don't know. That's my feeling.
So yeah, like off the back of fashion weeks in general, we have to mention the fact that the House of Balenciaga has debuted their like first haute couture collection in like 53 years. And that's a pretty big deal. I mean, we talk about fashion weeks and how it's changing, and almost kind of going back to a more like relaxed format, or, you know, where we're not like bound by the schedule, not bound by the location, not of service to like department store buyers and magazine editors anymore, because everyone has access to everything. We're going back to that, and like Balenciaga themselves and Demna Gvasalia, the designer, has decided that haute couture is still relevant today. It's really quite interesting in that, you know, Balenciaga is like a real troll. Like they will sell you a hoodie, a black hoodie with the words Balenciaga on it for like £1,000. Like something ridiculous. Like dance to the drum of their own beat, the beat of their own drum. That's the phrase.
They are milking logomania like there is no tomorrow.
I know. So for them
but
to
I think it's true. I think couture I think will always be important. I actually think that like that in terms of if every other fashion show disappeared, I don't think couture would. I think it's the origin of it all. I think it's important. It is because at the end of the day, you go to a gallery to look at art. That's essentially what couture is, you know. But yeah, I think it speaks volumes that Balenciaga's thought it's worth it, especially like following a pandemic.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and it's like it's almost like, I don't know if you saw the show, but half of it really harkened back to the last show that Cristobal Balenciaga did. So it's like introducing that to a new generation, literally a whole new cohort of people on existence.
It's probably trying to get the logomanias on board for when they start to earn a bit more dosh.
And also it was still very much like 2021 kind of, not athleisure, but like athletic sportswear nods that Balenciaga so often does. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. I quite like old school type fashion shows. And I think also, as you've mentioned, because of the big C and we haven't been able to like physically go to events, we could argue that those who do get invited to these events at the moment, they're even more intimate events. There's even fewer people at these events. They're far more like closed off to the public. Okay, you can watch them online, but the physical event itself has become as it was back in the day.
Private invitation only. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and actually, yeah, there's a few people who must probably count themselves as the lucky few to join that.
Yeah. So do you follow any other fashion weeks outside of the big four? So like you have Copenhagen Fashion Week. I know there's Berlin. I know there's
I'm shaking my head.
There's Miami Swim that likes to pop up.
I think there's, isn't there like Shanghai?
Yep, there's Shanghai, there's Lagos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't follow any of that, to be honest.
What do you think the reason is though?
Probably because if you kept up with it all, you just like it can be a lot to keep up with, you know. And I sort of probably draw the line at just following the main, and also the main way I look at it is via Vogue, and Vogue doesn't necessarily always show those shows. So the main way I go and get an overview of different shows is by going, there used to be a website called look.com.
I think
they disappeared.
I think they were owned by Vogue or Style
probably
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but I used to find that as like a really great way to see like really nice zoomed in. They used to have loads of different shots of stuff. But yeah, it's through those websites not showing it as I guess as well. But yeah, there's only so many brands you can look at, is my thinking.
That is true. I do know that Copenhagen, we actually touched on this many episodes ago, but they were like positioning themselves as like the eco-friendly alternative. Or maybe not even alternative, but the eco-friendly option, the example of how to be more conscious when it comes to putting on fashion shows and fashion weeks. And
do you follow those? Do you follow the outside of the top four?
I don't follow in that sense, but I do follow individual brands that might be from Denmark or might be from, you know, those other countries, and they will post what their latest collection is and videos of their shows. And so that's how I've kind of kept up with fashion shows outside of the big four, quite frankly. But yeah, as you say, there's a lot of them, and they're very often started or introduced in new countries as a way to like promote their local artisan or local designers. And it's like, it's seen, fashion weeks are seen as really good marketing for a country's talent in general. I think not just fashion as such, but like, look at the talent we have here.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I'm sure that there's a lot of snobbery in fashion. So I do think it's actually really important that these outside fashion weeks have like their moment.
Yeah.
There's so many talented brands out there that really don't get the time of day. And like the other fashion weeks tend to celebrate, you know, brands that aren't so mega, you know, like these, like, they're just, the brands we see are huge. They've got like, they've got names behind them. They've probably all got backing behind them. And so it's nice that like slightly smaller brands get their time to shine too, because that's important. And actually, like, I think a lot of people would probably like to see brands that other people don't necessarily know about. There's something nice about, or like, I found this on like, and you follow something that's maybe not so mainstream and give it sort of like follow it and follow their progress. I think there's something really nice about seeing those moments in fashion. Yeah.
And then also, I don't know much about this, but it really brings into question like the sponsorships. Who sponsors these fashion weeks? Because we've all seen Mercedes-Benz being plastered everywhere. And I know that the Copenhagen one is sponsored by Zalando.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I need to do more research on that, to be honest. I don't know enough in terms of sponsorships, but it's really interesting in terms of how these things are funded, organized, and how Mercedes-Benz has got all their fingers in all the pies when it comes to fashion weeks.
Yeah, like they're the service that picks people up or takes them to the shows often and stuff. Also, I wanted to quickly mention on like the smaller brand side. So often what comes, I think it's normally before Fashion Week, but correct me if I'm wrong, is London like Fashion Weekend, which is more of like that. It's a showcase. It's almost a bit like the Stylist Live event we went to that we've mentioned before, where it's almost like an exhibition where I think you can be a brand of any size, but it tends to be much smaller, more independent brands showcase. And it's just this huge exhibition, essentially, of brands. And just that's a really lovely celebration. Again, I think it's probably sponsored by Mercedes-Benz, but it's a really great celebration of sort of merging talent.
So yeah, I've never been to a Fashion Week event, like an invited one, but my sister got myself and her tickets to the Fashion Weekend in London.
Yeah.
And that is, you're right to bring that up, because that's a chance for just normal people who are interested in fashion, excited about fashion, to go sit and watch shows. And they are independent brands, maybe recently graduated brands as well. They can't afford like a whole big event, but they're brought together in this smaller schedule over the weekend. The one I went to was at Somerset House, which is quite an important location for Fashion Week anyway. And I don't know who sponsors it or anything, but yeah, that is a really good option for those who wants that buzz, wants to watch some shows and be involved in some sort of way. Fashion Weekend is a good one. Have you been to that, or have you been to shows as a guest?
So I've been to Fashion Weekend. But yeah, I haven't ever been a guest at a show. I've only ever worked backstage.
Yeah.
I don't know how I would feel watching a show though, actually, because it's actually quite a weird thing.
I'd feel very upper class and very bougie.
Yeah, it's sort of this thing of like you look at these people and you sort of clap at the end, and like I'm not going to be the person looking at it being like, I'm going to buy that. So you're just looking at, I don't know, it's funny.
No, but you would still appreciate the craftsmanship that goes in it. If it's good. If it's just like, let's be honest, like Ralph Lauren suits, then you'd be like, seen it before.
But also, let's be honest, not every look of a show is like a showstopper.
No, it's
like
not.
There are some really like could do without that. But having worked behind the scenes, you almost like all the looks, or you've got an association or attachment to all the looks.
Okay.
You have a story behind them. So like you're way more like rooting for the whole show. Whereas I think as a guest, you'd be like, nah, ooh.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're invested, as you said.
Yeah. Have you ever been a guest?
No, I have not.
You have to think about that.
I know. I don't know why that was such a difficult question for me to answer. But no, I've never been a guest. But I mean, if Boohoo wants to invite me to one, I won't say a bad word about them if they invite me to one of their, Megan Thee Stallion x boohoo.com events. I'd go.
Love it. Really
yeah. Is there anything else you want to add about Fashion Weeks?
No.
But but I still have a lot. I have to admit, I feel like this year has caught me off guard a little bit, and there's been like so many shows just being like spat out at me, and I need to catch up on them. I've only seen.
I'm behind on a lot. Although I will say, we know I have to talk about Chanel. I don't know if you saw their wedding dress look.
Yes.
With the colourful belt. I really liked it. Very different for them.
Yeah, I do. I actually still like Chanel without Carl. Yeah. I do.
I thought it was because it was like a pale pastel pink sort of dress with like this colourful veil, and I just thought, yeah, bit funky, like that.
Yeah, for your wedding dress.
No, that was just their wedding dress.
No, I know, but I know that you might want a Chanel one.
That's not my dress.
Okay, fair enough.
I need to find a man first. That's not, what's the word when you like let's not jinx it.
Yeah, let's not jinx it. So, okay, if you could be invited to any shows, what would they be?
Obviously, I've got to say Chanel.
Okay.
But like historically, I'd love to see like a Carl show, like one of his like really, really polished sort of like everything aligns shows. That
like the supermarket sweep one.
Yeah, something a bit like that.
Yeah.
I think a Dior show would be really great. Back in the day, would have loved like Alexander McQueen.
Drama.
But also, you know what? I think I'd really like to go to some shows, but like I probably don't pay them much attention because I think sometimes in person you really you realize how fantastic it is. I don't know, like even like a Moschino and stuff like that. Like just go and see it. Some Balmain, like, yeah. How about you? I would be classic, you know.
Yeah, I think for me it has to be a Scarparelli one because I think they just do, like what I like about Scarparelli is it's not about the practicality of clothes. They're making stuff that no one else is bothering to make, and it's just like for the love of it, and it's for like the ostentatiousness of it all, and I love that. So Scarparelli, I think they do really cool jewelry. It's all like weird and wonderful, and like bit like Pan's Labyrinth meets like Matador. It's really weird. And then Valentino, because Valentino, come on. Those would be my top two choices. Would you go to
Miu Miu in there?
Yeah, I would. But I think I would go to the other brands as like, what would I want to wear? Whereas two are like, what is my fantasy?
Yeah.
Those are my choices. But what are your thoughts on Dior in general? Because Dior gets a lot of slack. Maria, and we've spoken about Maria before, but in terms of it being one of the most prestigious couture houses, let's be honest, what's your overall impressions, not just the most recent one, but just overall impressions of their couture looks under Maria Grazia?
I used to be a big Dior couture fan, and even one of my favorite couture shows still to this day is the Raf Simons couture show. Was it a couture? I don't think it was couture.
No, it was
it might have been ready to wear. I feel like it might have been couture though.
I think it might have been
dresses.
Couture. There was a lot of detail, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think it was couture.
Yeah, let's just say it was. Let's just be revisionist about history.
Yeah. But like, I'm a big fan of Dior. I love the Dior silhouette, and I just find that I'm not lusting after it. Like, I'm going to say it. I think Dior Couture would have been my preference over Chanel. Like, I think it's just really feminine, really fun, really like they just always were sort of reinventing the silhouette of like the new look, and just really, I've just always loved a Dior Couture show. And I think in recent years with her, I haven't had that same feeling. And I really want to like her there. Like we've talked about that. I really wanted to like her there. But I'm currently not feeling it. How about you?
I'd go for, if you
if I had to. We actually would go to a Boohoo Band like event, so
no, I would
go to whatever we were invited to.
I do love Dior as a fashion house and as a brand, and I do like her stuff. It's not that I don't like what she makes, it's just that I think very often we see the same thing because we see the same things come down the runway because she's obviously found a formula and people obviously and definitely buying into her stuff whether we like it or not. She is like making money, and so she brings out the same things in a different color with different embellishments and whatnot, and it's not that I don't like it. I think she's come out with lots of stuff which I would personally wear, but it doesn't give me like, wow, I've never seen this silhouette. I've never seen this this approach to fashion. I've never seen, or I've hardly seen something like this. It's not like oh gosh, his mind's just left me. John Galliano, of course. John Galliano.
Oh my god.
You know, came out with some iconic things. I mean, iconic Dior saddlebag, which now Maria is
milking.
Okay. And lots of things came from John, so I think that was probably like the most exciting time for Dior. I'd go to the show, of course, but it's just if you're really wealthy and you want a really pretty dress, then
go for it.
Maria's giving
but you know what, also like John Galliano and Raf Simons are some big contenders, you know.
Well, you know, you got to live up to the standard. It's not an excuse. Yeah. Anyway, those are all my thoughts on fashion weeks. You got anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I love fashion week though. When it's couture fashion week, there's something magical in the air.
The sun comes out. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for listening to another week of our podcast. We're gonna have a poll, aren't we? Have you been to a fashion week first? Because we need to know how many people are actually going to these things, getting invites, getting those like in the mail invites. Madame Scarlett, you know.
And then I guess maybe a second poll is like, whose show do you want to be front row of?
Yeah, top.
Let us know, guys.